Well, Avi, since we started the recording, maybe it'd be good to start off by having you say a few words about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Abhijeet. I'm a security researcher from India, and what I do is I try to find vulnerabilities in security products, websites, softwares, these kind of stuff. And I'm a student as well. I'm currently studying, and this is very great moment for me because I have been a space aficionado since childhood. I even wanted to be an astronaut. Well, he didn't eventually made to the astronaut point, but yeah, I'm kind of a very big space fan, and even very big fan.
Do you know what started your interest in space? What even made you aware that astronauts exist?
Okay, so it all started when I was like a small child. So there were religious literature around the house, which were the property of my grandfather and grandmother. So I used to read those structures, and in those old Hindu religious structures, there are like mention of Brahman, that is the universe, and that was the point where I started on this amazing concept that is Brahman universe. And then I started reading more, watching more. I even saw a couple movies, and it all motivated me to learn more. Then I started watching sci-fi movies, fictions. Even got to know about NASA, ISRO, and I did my own due diligence. And this was all that still motivates me to this day. Like I still try to read up on latest discoveries. Like recently, NASA published some photos. I even saw those photos. I even downloaded some for my desktop wallpapers. And these are the kind of things I try to do because and yeah, here is a thing I do want to go to space sometime if possible. Like that is one of my bucket list thing, so I have to like check it out somewhere, and if given the chance, like if I am given the chance to go to the space, I will definitely like accept it. So these are the kind of things. Yeah.
Um, and I guess you said you were interested in possibly becoming an astronaut. Did you um, do you have a plan to make that happen, or is it like one of those dreams that people have, and maybe um, the path is unclear, and other things look to be um, better to pursue?
Okay, so uh, to be a professional astronaut is something that is I don't think is my calling now, because I have found my calling in the security field. But I do want to go to the space. I do want to participate in programs if possible. Like if suppose ISRO or NASA opens a like civilian program that they invite civilians to train as astronaut or go to astronaut and visit these kind of things, I would be glad to participate. I will be happy to participate. But to be a professional astronaut is something not possible for me, and to be very honest, I can't afford the all the money attached with this at the moment.
I
Yeah.
understand. I think many people would like to be an astronaut, but the path is very difficult to be a governmental astronaut, and then to be a private astronaut is prohibitively expensive. Um, but I had a few questions I wanted to ask you. I guess first of all, did you know that NASA was planning to send astronauts back to the moon for the first time since 1972?
Yeah, I knew about it, and when I saw one of your interview, so I was very intrigued. That's why I approached you, because I wanted to be a part of this experience. I wanted to talk to you, learn about your experiences, and if possible, contribute my thoughts and my um experiences, or my shall I call it whatever, to this journey.
Well, I'm glad you did. Well, I guess on that same line of thinking, What are your thoughts about us going back to the moon?
I think that is a great venture you are doing. Like, uh, you explored the moon about what, like around 40, 45 years ago. And it's like the past time that you do it. And to be very honest, like the time you first went back to the moon, the moment the Neil Armstrong um, took his first foot on there. And since then, technology has evolved. Like, you are equipped with more advanced technologies. You have like more um, tools, and like you have more under your bag. And to be very honest, like you have like good robots, like you have moon rovers and these. But if a person went back to the moon at this point of time, like in 2024, they are better equipped to collect more samples, or they can see for themselves, and like it will be a good thing. Like, you are doing a good thing. So in my view, that is a good move.
Well, some people say, why are you going to the moon when we have all these problems on the Earth? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I will say only one thing: sky is the limit. You have to explore beyond the horizon of the earth. Like, we are having problems on earth, there are people who are working towards making the earth better, but it's past time that we look for some alternate solutions. We look towards the how the origin started. Like, we all know that, yeah, there was big bang, there was nebula, it all happened, it converted into a ball of gases, it condensed, somehow life started, somehow like a meteorite struck, there were like bacteria, viruses with it. And yeah, that is all a good thing, but it's past time. Like, this is the beauty of science. You have to explore, explore, explore. And whenever we explore some new thing, there's always like a joy for the people. Like, there is always a new discovery. So why not do it? Like, people will ask, why are you doing it? I ask, why don't do it? Like, why stop it? Like, why uh, hinder the course of the science? Like, if people are exploring, let them explore. Simple. There are problems, people are doing with it. And if you want to like change the world, be the change. That's it.
Now that makes sense. Well, whenever you think about the future of humanity, you mentioned sky's the limit, and it's probably difficult to envision what will happen in the future. But what's your view in where humanity will be in 200 years from now?
Well, to and that is a very good question. And mm, if you ask 200 years from now, I definitely see us like habiting other planets. And if not planets, some space stations, definitely, which are like orbiting some planets or these kind of stuff. And I definitely can envision space colonies as well, because we are progressing and we are building space stations. We are making our moon to move to other planets. We have SpaceX. Even Elon Musk is planning to go to the Mars, and that is another planet altogether, very different from the moon. That is one of our satellites, right? So I can definitely see us making a big move, because what SpaceX started what 10, 12 years ago, and they have like contributed such a lot in the this very short period. Like, they are assisting you guys with the rockets, they are assisting with they are sending like even private people to the space, these kind of things. Even like um Amazon founder Jeff Bezos even got to visit the space, right? So these are the kind of things that is happening. Very influential peoples are invested in this project. They are trying to like make a move. They are assisting you guys, and so with all this progression happening, I can definitely see us inhabiting some colonies, if not the planets, in 200 years. And that is like a very basic assumption. We will definitely do more than that, but that is a baseline, that is a boundary I'm drawing, that we will definitely be at that level, if not above.
That would be amazing. How much of that do you think we'll see in our lifetime?
That is yet to be seen. Like, I can definitely see people, like, if suppose we live for another 40, 50 years, at the very minimum, we will definitely see people inhabiting, or at least trying to build something on Mars. People are already like trying to buy and sell plots on the moon. So I'm sure within couple decades, give or take couple decades, we will definitely see at least one or two houses on the moon, if only for the vacation purposes. But yeah, we will definitely see that.
Um, if you could take a trip to space, you mentioned you wanted to be an astronaut earlier in life. Would you still take that trip?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm hands down for it. Like, just take me, because it would be like one of a lifetime kind of adventure, and I wouldn't miss it for anything in the world.
Do you like how far would you consider going? Just to the orbit of the Earth? Would you consider going to the moon, or would you even consider something as adventurous and maybe life-changing as immigrating to Mars, if that was a possibility?
Well, I will definitely be trying to move ahead the horizons, and I have okay. This is gonna sound strange, but I have already told someone that if I go to the space, we will definitely visit Venus, and I want to go there at the very minimum. I will definitely try to go beyond that. And I do have like this concept of multiverses where that there's a concept that there are multiple universes and we are in just one of the universes and we haven't explored the other universes. Thus that are multiverses. So I will definitely um try to go as far as possible, and I'm like kind of I have to quote the USS Enterprise. So what they say is the universe is like infinite, you have to just explore it. Like even like that is a fictional series, I know, but yeah, they had the mission that on a 5-year mission to explore unseen and know about what is yet to be seen and these kind of stuff. So I would definitely love to go beyond the limits. I would like to break the limits. I would like to go where no one has even thought of going. So that is my view.
Yeah, that's an amazing thought. Um, I, on your trip to space, is there anything specific that you'd like to do? Some people talk about maybe doing flips and free fall and collecting moon rocks and that type of thing. But do you have any visions on what you would do during your trip?
Well, if possible, I would like to meet aliens. And apart from this, like I would like to do all the things I do on a daily life. I would like to try everything, like even push-ups and all these kind of things. I would definitely love to collect souvenirs if they are safe, because there is a thing, you are going to unknown origins, you don't know what may be contaminated, and if you bring something like that back without preventive measures, that could be a disaster. So with all this in mind, I would definitely like to bring souvenirs if that is safe. And for this purpose, if like we will definitely have someone who is like a good scientist or who is like kind of expert on these fields. So with consulting with him or her, I will definitely bring back some souvenirs as well. And I would try to make friends. I would definitely love to meet aliens. I would definitely love to learn their languages, and yeah, and why not couple selfies with the aliens if we are at it.
That would definitely be something very different and new. Well, I have kind of an exercise I'd like for you to try. Imagine you or one of your descendants immigrates to Mars, and it's 200 years in the future. Now, on Mars, you have your great, 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 great granddaughter who's in high school doing a history project about the 2020s. So she's in, you know, 22, 200 years from now, looking back at you and your time. What do you think will be worth remembering about this decade in 200 years from now?
Whew, this decade, if I have to be very honest, this decade has been a roller coaster. It's been like for me personally, this decade has brought me more sorrow than I ever knew. And this decade also has given me more opportunities than I previously knew. So if I have to say, um, she will definitely remember that this was the decade where people fought for their survival amidst all this COVID thing happening. People stood together, and there were some people who tried to be kind of jerk and brought about the end of the world as well. So for this particular imaginative scenario, I would say this was a decade that was full of all the human expressions. This was a decade of innovations. We see like we have seen many innovations since the COVID started. Like we are even planning to go to Mars after like these 40-45 years. And apart from this, this decade showed that if people try to do something with the proper mindset, they can achieve anything. So for this purpose, if I have to sum it in one line, it was a decade of magic.
A decade of magic. That's awesome. And we're only 2 years through the decade. So imagine what the next 8 years could be.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm very excited for the next 8 years because I really want to see what like I'm seeing that many things have changed in the world, and everything is happening at a very fast pace. I'm really excited to see what's the tomorrow brings.
Me too. Well, Abhi, I know we've talked about a lot of things, and those are pretty much the questions I had to ask. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
Yeah, I would like to know about your experiences. Like, what do you think about the space? Do you plan to visit the space?
Yeah, no, it's a very good question. Um, I think back to the invention of air travel. Back in 1900, I think the Wright brothers had built a craft that was able to fly for um, a few dozen seconds at a time. And it was hard to imagine that actually having a transformational effect on humanity. But then later, the single person aircraft was built, and then that became fairly popular. But then, whenever the 747, these huge aircraft that could carry hundreds of people at a time was built, that really transformed, I think, air travel. And now people can travel all around the world, uh, uh, just being regular people. And I think space is about to go through a similar transformation. We've been using expendable rockets that you build one time, you test a lot, you use one time, and then the next time you want to do anything with space, you have to build another rocket, which is extremely expensive. So SpaceX is working on a completely reusable rocket called Starship that they can use to travel between places on Earth. So you could go from Houston to, Mumbai or Delhi in like 30 minutes. You could use the same craft to go into orbit or to go to the moon or to go to Mars. And I think, they're about a month or two from doing a significant test flight of this craft. And I think in the next few years, they'll have it operating, and then I think that will completely transform our ability to access space. And I think you and I will both, within our lifetime, both be able to take a trip to space if we want. And it would be a lot more affordable than it is now. Um, so that's what I think. I think when that happens and we start going to Mars and people start living there, um, and then once we have a city on Mars, uh, people won't question living in space anymore, and there'll be a reason to go back and forth. And at that point, it's just a matter of time before we, um, really explore the entire solar system. And then maybe within the next 50 years, 100 years, we begin that first journey to another star system. And then, you know, it's just a matter of time before the entire universe is filled with life. And I think that would be amazing. So that's sort of the vision I see.
Yeah, that is great. And who is to say that universe isn't full with life yet? Because what we don't know, we don't know. Maybe there are aliens, maybe they are like seeing us, and that is yet to be explored. But yeah, like totally, like I'm really excited for this thing, and to see it happen in my lifetime would be a great privilege, and to uh, take the trip myself would be an even much better, like that would be a rare privilege indeed. Yeah. So okay, so I do have a few questions. So my next question is, what do you think about this Moon 2024 mission? Like, if I'm not wrong, you are handling some um, very crucial aspect of this program, right?
Um, well, no, not really. I am just a space enthusiast myself, who in 2019, whenever the project was announced, I thought it would be neat to go out and find out what people thought about it. So this is just a personal project of mine, and unfortunately, I not actually involved with any aspect of the actual mission itself. And kind of more interestingly is that um, uh, earlier last year, the date actually slipped from 2024 to 2025 to actually land the people on the moon. But I'm still, just counting down to the end of 2024 with this. So that's sort of at the extent of my involvement with the project.
Okay, that is great. So, what do you think? Um, it like okay, it might sound like a very strange question, but what do you think? Will NASA ever invite other countries to participate and contribute in a more involved manner to this project?
Absolutely. So NASA has this thing called the Artemis Accords. So the name of the project to go back to the moon is called Artemis. And in Greek mythology, Artemis is the sister of Apollo. So that's the
Goddess of
connection
Moon.
there. But they have this thing called the Artemis Accords, which is, um, some basic standards for how countries should treat each other in space. Deals with helping out each other, setting common standards, notifying each other of their activities, things like this. Also, in addition to that, um, part of the rocket to go back to the moon is actually being developed in Europe. It's the service module is being developed in Europe. On the they're actually doing a test flight of the Artemis rocket next month. Possibly it'd be delayed to September, um, and that test flight's not going to have anybody on it. But the first crew flight, which is now pushed to 2024, which will just go around the moon, is actually going to have the first Canadian astronaut to actually go around the moon. In fact, the first non-US astronaut to go around the moon. And there's talk about maybe having some Japanese astronauts on a future trip, and some other countries sending people. And I think Japan is actually um, working on some rovers that would be used on the moon. And then as part of the program, NASA is also going to be putting a space station around the moon called Gateway, and different parts of that are being made by different countries, just like the International Space Station was. Um, so lots of opportunities for international collaboration.
Yeah, that sounds good. And this is a miss. Okay, here is my another question. So recently, Russia withdraw from space station. So what do you think? Will it hamper this progress of moon journey?
So I think the International Space Station and the moon are almost completely independent of each other. The International Space Station has been really useful for developing technologies, training, learning how to do long duration space flight. So it's definitely provided a foundation. But in terms of kind of what happens with the International Space Station versus going to the moon, I think those two programs are significantly independent, that you won't see any um, type of issue there. But the International Space Station is really a marvelous thing. It started getting built in the last part of the 1990s in space. Since October 31st of 2020, it's been continuously inhabited. 15 countries participate in it, and we've been able to successfully operate it for over 2 decades now, and we've learned a lot. And it's a real symbol of international cooperation and what we can all do whenever we work together. So I think regardless of what happens with the International Space Station, that is a very powerful symbol. And hopefully we'll have other efforts in the future that will be similar to it, in the sense that, we should go to space as all of humanity, not as just one or two countries.
Yeah, that would be an awesome sight. So here is my last question. So what according to you is the single most greatest innovation of all time related to space?
The single most innovation of all time related to space. Well, I would have to say the discovery of electromagnetism. So this was something that was discovered, I think, by astronomers in like the 1800s, and it has allowed for us to um, basically send and receive radio waves, and that has completely transformed society. For thousands and thousands of years, we had no idea about electromagnetism, and then once we figured it out, now we're able to have wireless radios, and we can have remote sensing. And without that, our society would be very different than it is now. And the space explorations that we've had would seem to be impossible. So I would say the discovery and the ability to use electromagnetism.
Yeah, that makes sense, like totally. Okay, so like okay, like my questions are okay for now, and it was a pleasure, Nathan, to take this interview, and thank you for sharing your experiences, and looking forward to have some other interviews as we reach near to the countdown, and stay in touch, man.
Thank you so much, Abby. You have a good rest of your day, and we'll talk later.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great day as well. Thank you.
Bye bye.